the Right Worshipful Lord Mayor of Sheffield, Councillor Safia Saeed.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to start by announcing apologies for absence. I've received apologies for absence from Councillors Kai Saladal, Councillor Tony Downing, Councillor Nathaniel Mende, Councillor Maya Salmon-Lloyd, Councillor Will Salpwell and Councillor Gareth Slater. The first order of business today is to elect the Lord Mayor for the municipal year 2026-2027.
Hello everybody. Can I call upon Councillor Cliff Woodcroft who will move the Councillor Andrew Sengar to be elected as the Lord Mayor of the City of Sheffield in the municipal year 2026 to 2027. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Lieutenant, Lord Mayor, Master Cutler, Mistress Cutler, councillors and distinguished guests. Councillor Andrew Sanger has the distinction of not only being the youngest councillor when he was first joined the council in 1991, but also the longest serving, having totaled 35 years continuous service. He first represented Beechief Ward before moving to Forward in 2004. In 2012, Andrew was joined by his wife, Sue Alston, becoming another councillor for Forward. And this was to be another successful husband-wife councillor partnership. Clearly a marriage made in Lib Dem heaven. Over a long and distinguished career, he's served on many committees, including chairing Performance Review, Children's Services, Environment, and South West Local Area Committee. He's also the longest serving member on the Pensions Authority, having not yet been pensioned off from that role himself yet. Andrew's dedicated his life to public service. I've seen this firsthand as a fellow councillor in Forward. The support that is given to residents and the Westminster Tenants and Residents Association, Friends of Porter Valley and other groups is second to none. The highlight of his career was his visit to Buckingham Palace to be appointed a member of the British Empire for political service. This was gained on the back of many disgruntled Liverpool Democrats having been coerced into yet another leaflet delivery. Yet, despite all that, I have no hesitation in proposing Councillor Andrew Sanger to be our next Lord Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I call Councillor Ben Miskell, who will second the motion? Thank you.
Deputy Lieutenant Lord Mayor, Master Cutler, Mistress Cutler, distinguished guests, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, Good morning. I'm delighted to second the motion that Councillor Sanger be elected as the Lord Mayor of Sheffield for the municipal year 2026 to 2027. I know that Andrew, supported by Sue as Lady Mayoress, will be an exemplary first citizen of our city. Over the years, my group has had the pleasure of working with Andy in a number of roles, as a colleague in this chamber across the aisle, as a formidable political opponent as the Lib Dems agent across the city, pumping out many a political leaflet with some interesting bar charts as well, as a cabinet member in previous administrations, and more recently on our committees, where I've particularly enjoyed working alongside him in previous years on transport regeneration and climate. But above all else, and leaving the party politics aside, Andy is undoubtedly a committed public servant, and most importantly, also a wonderful human being. Polite, always well-mannered, humble, and with a big heart for our city, all qualities that are incredibly important in a Lord Mayor, especially at a time of increased polarisation that has, unfortunately, made its way into our public discourse. It's something that I know that Andrew works tirelessly to address, because there is far more that unites us than divides us. And in that spirit, I know that Andy will serve our city incredibly well, always seeking to highlight what unites us as Sheffielders. We see that reflected in his chosen charities of this municipal year, Roundabout, working to eradicate youth homelessness, and MESMAC, one of the oldest and largest sexual health organisations in our region. It's an organisation that I know is also close to Sue's heart, as she's cared for thousands of patients over the years here in Sheffield, specialising towards the latter end of her career in the care of women with infectious diseases, particularly with HIV and hepatitis. Now, I know that many people, including my partner, have had the pleasure of working alongside Sue, and her determination alongside Andy to improve the lives of Sheffield's residents is absolutely unwavering. Lord Mayor, Councillor Sanger is currently Sheffield's longest serving city councillor, as I think we just heard, having served continuously since 1991. Now, I was only 8 years old when Andy first took up office in this chamber, and some of our youngest councillors weren't even born today, so that's incredibly long service. And like so many people, he came to our city as a student, and he made it his home. He got involved in politics when he was a student, like many of us did in this chamber, and he worked many, many years in order to leave a lasting mark on the business of this council and also on our city. In 2000, he worked with Pat Midgley to introduce the cabinet system, something which Sue later reversed in 2022 through her excellent work on the governance committee working cross-party. Andy has made that long-lasting contribution to this organisation, and on behalf of my group, the residents of our city, we wish both him and Sue the very best of luck. They have had full support, as well as our thanks, respect and friendship for what will undoubtedly be a big year ahead. And with that, I second the motion that Councillor Sanger be elected as Lord Mayor of Sheffield for the municipal year of 2026 to 2027. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I call upon the members of Sheffield City Council to vote by show of hands, not relatives, not friends. You'll get that extra votes now. Can everybody show of hands for Councillor Andrew Sanger to become the new Lord Mayor? Fantastic. Anyone oppose? Motion is carried. Congratulations. We will now leave you with your own devices and go back, and we're going to do a bit of a magic trick in terms of changing our robes. So please enjoy the break. Thank you.
Lord Mayor of Sheffield, Councillor Andy Sanger.
Deputy Lieutenant, Master and Mistress Cutler, councillors, family, friends, guests, thank you. It is the greatest honour of my life to serve the city I love. I'm sorry. Which one is it? I, Andrew Paul Sanger, having been appointed to the office of Lord Mayor of the City of Sheffield, hereby declare that I take the office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. I undertake to observe the code as to conduct that is expected of members of the Sheffield City Council. Thank you. So I'll start again. So Deputy Lord Lieutenant, Master and Mistress Cutler, family, friends, councillors, distinguished guests, thank you. It's the greatest honour of my life to serve the city I love as the 129th Lord Mayor of Sheffield. This is the city I've lived in the whole of my adult life, and I'm immensely looking forward to the coming year as your Lord Mayor. You've heard I've been a councillor in this place for 35 years, and Sue has also served these past 14 years. So we are both well prepared for our roles, serving the diverse communities and individuals across all of Sheffield. After 40 years in party politics, my task ahead is to put all that aside for these 12 months and represent all the people of Sheffield to the best of my ability. As many of you know, I grew up as a sickly, bookish kid in Surrey. A childhood interest in military history led to a teenager with wider interest in current affairs, politics and history. My first representational role was serving on a police liaison committee set up across the country following the 1981 Brixton riots. I know many of you weren't born then. So I was representing sixth formers and their concerns. So I'd like to put on record my thanks to Labour councillor Bill Bellaby for his encouragement and commitment on that committee. I did try other roles. I was a typical sports-mad child in the 1970s. I haven't added up the number of hours I tried to be good at football, rugby, badminton, tennis, cricket, golf. I was rubbish at all of them. And what did I know of Sheffield when I was 11? I knew that Sheffield had two football teams, United and Wednesday. I knew that Sheffield made steel, and the role that HMS Sheffield, C-24, the Shiny Chef, played in the hunting and sinking of the Bismarck. I knew that the World Snooker Championships had just taken place in the Crucible Theatre, and that Dracula had won in the best of 49 frames. I knew that the world record holder at 800 and 1500 metres, Sebastian Coe, came from Sheffield, although I was more of an Ovit fan. I was just too late for Monty Python, although I got to see the reruns. I saw Monty Python and the Holy Grail twice and bought the book. I was already starting to have an interest in our Fioriana, so I got the jokes, but not all the references. Sheffield's Michael Palin was my favourite Python, and I recall greatly enjoying ripping yarns when it first aired. So, when Life of Brian came out, I wanted to see it at the cinema. The good councillors of my town of No More Heroes had banned it, so my dad took me to watch it at Councillor Chaplin's town called Malice. I'm not trying to claim that the 14-year-old me had a sophisticated view of the difference between social conservatism and economic conservatism. I just wanted to go and see a satirical film. And I still don't believe that council should ban other people enjoying themselves just because they might be offended. I may have learned more about Sheffield if in that year's Christmas #1, Susan Ann Solly had sung about being a buffer girl at Mappin and Webb rather than as a waitress in a cocktail bar. Yes, this will be a year of dad rock, but I do hope to learn to appreciate other musical genres. Ucker choices. That visit to Sheffield in October '84, in the middle of the miners' strike. I remember coming out of the train station and getting on a 60 bus and paying the 10p bus fare. For whatever reason, Sheffield and the university drew me in and was my first choice over Birmingham, Leeds, Manchester and Warwick. How my life could have been different. A big thanks to Dr. Ian Brown and Dr. Andrew Madchek for getting me onto the chemistry degree course, and then massive thanks for the encouragement that Professor Terry Lilly gave me in getting through the course despite repeated bouts of severe asthma and distraction with student politics. At university, I got stuck into too much gaming, social events with NODSOC, films at the Students' Union, most importantly for my future life, student politics. Always thrown in with far too much coughing and wheezing for my, at the time, poorly controlled asthma. The University of Sheffield offered me much, but so did the city of Sheffield. Its warm and friendly people, the civic pride, the ease of access to the surrounding countryside for walks and live theatre. But I guess what kept me here was that sense of friendship and community, that belief there was more to life than chasing money for its own sake. With my parents' divorce and with school friends finding new friends at work, I needed a new home. Sheffield has been my home ever since. Sue and I have been together even longer than I've been a councillor. We're very much looking forward to serving all the people of Sheffield as Lord Mayor and Lady Mayoress. First serving pair of councillors since Denise and Terry Fox. From student politics, I slipped into local politics. I'd like to thank all those who have voted for me in those many, many elections, as well as all those who have campaigned with me. I've had a varied time in the council, as you heard from Cliff and Ben, and I'd like to give my sincere thanks to all the councillors from all parties that I've worked alongside, and thank you to those council officers who have had to put up with me these past 35 years. My theme for the year is Sheffield, proud past, fantastic future. I've had the good fortune to be involved in a number of heritage projects relating to Sheffield's industrial past over the years, our industrial hamlet, Shepherd's Wheel and Forge Down. I'm so looking forward to the new public park on the site of Sheffield Castle. Thanks to recent excavations, we now have a much better understanding of the history of that site, the confluence of the Sheaf and Don, the birthplace of Sheffield. Just as this city and country were transformed by the Industrial Revolution, so was this country forever changed by those two brutal world wars in the 20th century. This 1st of July, I will be following the tradition of many past Lord Mayors by leading a group to the Sheffield Memorial Park at Sir to remember the sacrifice of the 12th Battalion Yorkshire and Lancashire Regiment, the Sheffield Pals, as well as attending a civic reception at Bopam to mark the 110th anniversary of the Battle of the Somme. In the Second World War, our city was again involved in manufacturing arms and armaments and suffered in the Sheffield Blitz. It's important that as events of these traumatic wars slip from family memory, that we find appropriate ways to commemorate those dark days and the rebuilding of our city and country. Next February, we'll see the 45th anniversary of the loss of HMS Sheffield, D80, whilst on picket duty for the South Atlantic Task Force during the Falklands War. We must honour all those who serve in all of our armed forces, who put their lives on the line so we can enjoy peace and freedom and renew our commitment to the Armed Forces Covenant. Sheffield has a fantastic future ahead of it. We have two great universities that are an essential part of our city, with a great brand in Made in Sheffield, reflecting our manufacturing past, but also a future in advanced manufacturing, film and video game making, a thriving theatre scene, as well as many other musicians and writers who make their art in Sheffield. We owe it to our young people from across all of Sheffield's diverse communities to give them good childhoods, great schools, colleges and universities, and then provide them with excellent opportunities into the world of work in a thriving, successful city. As you've heard from Ben, my charities for the year ahead are Roundabout and Mesmac. Roundabout because ending youth homelessness should be our first priority as a civilised country. If you don't have a safe place to call home, it's difficult to move forward with the rest of your life. Mesmac provides peer support for those living with HIV, as well as other sexual health services. The shadow of age HIV has occasionally reached out over me, as Sue had a professional specialism working with HIV-positive pregnant women in her career as a midwife. HIV treatment has changed, but attitudes haven't caught up. We know that peer support saves lives, not just medically, but socially. We want Sheffield to be a city where no one fights HIV alone. It's going to be, colleagues, it's going to be a busy year ahead. Thank you all again for giving Sue and I this opportunity to serve our great city and its people. We're very much looking forward to it. Thank you. I now call upon Councillor Ruth Milson to move a vote of thanks to the retiring Lord Mayor.
Deputy Lieutenant, Lord Mayor, Master Cutler, Mistress Cutler, distinguished guests, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. What a great privilege it is to move this vote of thanks and pay tribute to our outgoing Lord Mayor. This annual ceremony is one of our time-honoured traditions in the Town Hall, and yet every year brings something a little bit different. Yes, the role of Lord Mayor is steeped in tradition, but it is also very much about the unique character, personality, life experiences and skills of each incumbent. Safia, Saf, has brought a fresh and inspiring approach to this role, taking on the robes, hat, gloves and chain with her characteristic courage and dignity, and making sure that not a moment was wasted in her mission to allow people from every background across Sheffield to feel seen, heard, welcomed and celebrated through the many events and opportunities she's hosted. Her leadership created places where people from different communities could come together, connect and feel valued. And in particular, as a black woman, she's been able to create unique opportunities for many other women of colour to dig deeper and to find new levels of confidence and agency in a world that can often feel hostile. She also made sure that young people were involved and represented throughout her time as Lord Mayor, giving them opportunities to engage, participate and feel proud of their city. Saf showed that the role could be modern, inclusive and connected to the real lives of Sheffield people. And in the spirit of that empowering modernity and inclusivity, modelled by Safia, I'm going to break the traditional comforting rhythm of a town hall speech with a call for some audience participation. So would all those who know Saf personally or who have met her, please stand up. Saf, this bit is just for you. You give so much of yourself. It's your life's work to stand up for others, to reflect back the qualities you see in them and build them up. And now it's your turn. So audience who are standing, don't worry, it's nothing embarrassing. Just give a joyful yes if you recognise these qualities in Safia. Yes. Is she determined? Yes. Optimistic? Yes. Energetic? Yes. Surprising? Yes. Warm-hearted? Yes. Fierce? Yes. Thank you. You're done, thank you. Now, I will definitely never forget Safia's final words when she finished chairing her last full council meeting back in March. Having been subjected to years of racial, Islamophobic and misogynistic abuse herself, even more so as an elected public figure, and sadly even more so still in very recent times, as a wholly un-British style of bigotry seeks to normalise itself in our country. Safia used the mayoral prerogative to make a plea for mutual respect to be the norm, for people of all political persuasions to fly the flag for tolerance, kindness and civility. Thank you, Saf. If only one thing endures from your legacy, Safia, let it be that. By welcoming dignitaries from across the world with warmth and respect, Safia, as first citizen of our city, reflected the diversity and spirit of Sheffield itself. She used those personal qualities to make people feel comfortable, included and appreciated no matter their background. Her time as Lord Mayor will be remembered for bringing communities together, uplifting underrepresented voices and showing true inclusive leadership for all Sheffielders. She has attended and hosted just shy of 500 appointments, I believe, in the year, which is a big number. But perhaps the even more impressive fact is that Sophia has topped the all-time charts as the highest scoring Lord Mayor for civic value in the engagement she's carried out. I know that she will be more than eager to get fully stuck in once again in her ward of Burngreave, doing what she does most naturally, empowering others to be the best version of themselves. So I'd like to highlight something that Sophia does when she is not being Lord Mayor. In 2013, she founded the Reach Up Youth charity, whose power really lies in being a community-rooted, youth-led organisation. It tackles some of the city's most entrenched social challenges, from street violence to domestic abuse to mental health. And it does that with authenticity, credibility and trust that statutory services often struggle to achieve. Its flagship programmes are designed and led by young people themselves, giving them ownership, energy, agency and leadership experience. This youth-led model is really rare and highly effective in engaging those who might otherwise disengage from mainstream services. And I've often heard Sophia describe herself as a bridge connecting members of her local community with the mechanisms that run services and make decisions that affect them. This is so desperately important because no matter how hard an institution like a council or the NHS might try to be outward-facing and involve citizens in decision-making and service design, they are inherently limited by budgets, ensuring that business as usual is not hampered, and by juggling competing improvement priorities. People like staff help break down those barriers that are quite often unintentionally created by the state. People like staff look past the no-can-do and persevere until a way is found. They do it because they simply cannot tolerate injustice and inequality. Opportunity should be open to everyone, but we do depend on the Sophias of this world to make that happen. So, as our 128th Right Worshipful Lord Mayor of Sheffield finishes her year of duty, let us all try to grasp a little of what she has shown us is possible. May she enjoy a well-earned rest, at least for a couple of days, before she hits Burngreave again with all her usual vigour. And wherever we have an influence, may we all be a little bit more Sophia. Thank you.
I'd like to call upon Councillor Barbara Masters, who will second the motion.
Deputy Lieutenant, Lord Mayor, Master Cutler, Mistress Cutler, distinguished guests, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I have carried out many appraisals in the past. It's time to check how our former Lord Mayor, Sophia Seed, performed her role of the first citizen of Sheffield against the job description. 1. Ceremonial duties. Did Sophia represent the city at functions, welcoming all regardless of background with dignity and grace, the office and occasion demanded? Huge tick. 2. Ambassadorial role. Did Sophia promote local projects, businesses, build links with communities, locally, nationally and internationally? 10 out of 10. 3. Civic leadership. Did Sophia successfully chair full council meetings? Maybe the hardest part of the role. Meetings did get rather lively at times, but she did this with unfailing courtesy, fairness and firmness. She excelled. 4. Community support. This was where Sophia is in her element. She used her platform to amplify the voices of those with little or none, disadvantaged families, young people, refugees, and unrepresented communities. She focused on bringing people together while inspiring future generations to believe that leadership is possible for everyone. Platinum star rating. 5, non-political. We're all here because of our strong political convictions, yet Sophia had to remain impartial even when this must have been challenging. She stayed cheerful, focused on community cohesion and representation as the role demands. She deserves a bonus, you really do. What's not stated are the personal specifications. Sophia's integrity and just basic decency has shone through every action she has taken. She brought humour to the role, has been gracious and fair, and has always been approachable, down to earth and passionate about making everyone feel welcome, valued and included. Sophia, you have fulfilled the role of our Lord Mayor in a truly exemplary manner. Your year as our Mayor has been a masterclass in a job well done. Thank you. And I was just going to say, I have the greatest of pleasure in seconding a vote of thanks for you, Sophia Seed.
I'd now like to call upon members of the City Council to vote by show of hands. All those in favour of this vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. Tissue is ready. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Deputy Lord Mayor, High Sheriff, Master Cutler, and all my children, my family, and my friends, and my colleagues, and my new colleagues. And all the fellow citizens that is up there. And everybody that has walked this incredible journey with me. When I first placed the chain of office around my neck, I felt like a beam of light. Truly, nothing can prepare you to become a Lord Mayor. No meetings, no training, nothing, because that chain did not feel like a gold or tradition. It carried Sheffield's voices, dreams, hope, heritage, and history. And suddenly, I was carrying it too. When I came back into the chambers one day, after putting that necklace on, half of me was completely numb with the weight of expectations. I kept thinking, can I really do this? But the other half was saying, wow, I'm really here and I am doing this. And thankfully, the side of wow won. A few days later, I thought, let me take some stuff and start without the civic team to go in. And if anyone knows, my bag is like a bottom of the pit of the ocean. Anything goes in, it disappears, including children. But when I became a Lord Mayor, I met Julie, and she gave me a sparkling keyring. As I opened my bag, I found the sparkling keyring with the keys attached to it. And somewhere, somehow, I decided to open the parlour. I went in and I said, hello, as a guest, not as somebody's home. And the parlour, as I call it, flat 101, because it has everything you need in there. I took the keys out of the dark bag and tiny keyring with a shining back shined back at me. I opened the door in the parlour, stepped inside, closed the door behind me, not to embarrass myself, and I just stood there in the middle of the room. I dropped everything. I opened my arms and I started spinning and spinning and spinning with my arms wide open. I kept on saying, oh my God, I did it. Oh my God, I did it. I did it. And when I said I did it, I don't mean me. I mean every single person who built me from my youngest self until the moments. My children, my family, my community, my mentors, my colleagues, the people who believed in me before I even believed in myself. I felt all the weight of all the days and all the nights that I worked hard for, the sleepless night of the night, the days that I was bestowed on the Sheffield stories and my community stories held me down with their weight of guilt. All that disappeared. And I said, finally, I feel peace. Not because I'm abandoning my community, but finally I did something with myself. With no education background and going through poverty and bringing up the 5 kids and running away from stigma after stigma after stigma. I stood there and I said, today I am somebody finally included in the system, which now I can call myself leader. That moment was emotional because I imagined it, but I never experienced it. And suddenly, there I was, standing in the middle of a history, feeling accepted, feeling seen, feeling like a true belonging. A few days later, my first trip abroad as a Lord Mayor was to Bochum, Germany, for the 75th twinning anniversary between Sheffield and Bochum. Nick Hamilton, my favorite international plane, said, buckle up and make sure that you pack light. After making me get lost around Germany airports from place to place, we finally landed. And we came in, and it was an absolute honor, the people he introduced me to. I never thought of Germany, that I would ever go, but the fact that the people hosted me, that shows you it's always the host. As I stood there, I realized something very powerful. Across the sea, since 1949, our cities have stayed connected through unity, friendship, resilience, and hope. And then came one of the proudest moments of my life, signing my name into a historical book, and will remain there long after me. Honestly, without this role, I would never in my life have imagined the opportunity. Then I came back to Sheffield, and eventually the appointments started flooding in. Now, for the first month, it's going to go a bit quiet. I'm not going to lie, I was a bit slightly concerned and worried. I genuinely thought, is it my perfume? Is it my eyeliner? What's going on here? Why there's nobody booking me? But after the first month, oh my goodness, the gates opened. And suddenly, the invitation after invitation after invitation. From book launches to food banks, from homelessness shelters to mental health groups, from community centres to theatres, libraries, schools, allotment, green spaces, youth clubs, women's group, cultural celebration, faith gatherings and charities. And all it was an honour. In the parlour, my team and I decided that this civic place will be a sanctuary for people. Full access, that's what we wanted. And with the help with the chief exec, who recognized the long service team of her staff needed to come in and to be included, we decided to have a couple of tea together, just to know that from their age of 17 to the retirement age, how was their experience? And that was a very kind gesture. In that parlour, I listened to women. I sat with men bravely speaking about their mental health. I listened to women surviving domestic abuse and rebuilt their lives. And it was absolutely an amazing place, from hosting the Palestinian ambassador, different authors, foster care, and every other, and a lot of people that admire me, of course. But the most important thing that place was not only a living room, it was a space that people can take their shoes off, cuddle up to a sofa, and really tell me what's going on in their head. I also always as a Lord Mayor or somebody from the community, I make sure that I signpost people. I met families from every background you can imagine. Morocco, Somali, Yemeni, Pakistani, Caribbean, Eastern Europe, white British. Every story carried the dignity, resilience, and humanity. Not to forget, youth pizza night, my girlfriends and I, popcorn, and a bit of gossip. And what I realized very quickly in this place, that Sheffield is not just a city. Sheffield is people. It's compassion, it's community, it's showing up each other. And somewhere in the middle of all this, and fantastically, I decided to go to Somaliland. And no, before the keyboard warriors come for me, Sheffield did not pay for it. I paid for it. And I took my human purse, my brother Ali. Come on, Ali. We went from an invitation of the President of Somaliland and the Foreign Office. And I thought, I went there a couple of years ago with no titles. I didn't even get a cup of tea. But now, hotels were free. We had soldiers, we had cars, we had everything. And that is the wealth of home. To walk through 4 cities and see banners with my pictures on it saying Sheffield is here. Let's have a note on a side. Sheffield was the first city in the world that recognized Somaliland as a country, 2014. So Sheffield connects with Somaliland and their wealth and their health connectively. To stand there proudly wearing my robes on those banners, shouting out Sheffield and shouting out about our traditional, everybody wanted to be us. While also carrying my Somali heritage in a way in my heart, overwhelming with most beautiful way. I hope I made my country proud. But let's learn from my country. I don't think Sheffield is doing it right. Every city I went to, motorways were shut down for the access of the city, with dancing, horses, camels being outside, little young people, even some of them had shaving creams just throwing it at me, and I have no idea why. Good job I had glasses on. Most important thing that I took my son to the journeys of everybody that I met. My son stood beside me, and everywhere we went, there was music, laughter, dancing, joy, and celebration. Although he annoys me all the time because he always left me last-minute ironing to me, but he's a good egg. There was a moment that I will never forget for the rest of my life. And then there was almost a moment that here at home too, in an incredible evening, the Cutler's Hall and the Cutler's Feet, they do nothing but feed us. But can you please tell me which fork can I use for what? I felt so proud to be a bit of bougie, and that comes with the visits that I met lots of royals. The feats and the laughter and the conversations, and now our friendship. The Sheffield theatres that moved and inspired me, hosting so many laughable children and so many spaces that for us to even express ourselves. The primary school where children ask the most honest question and the terrifying ones. Questions you can imagine. The libraries filled with the stories of imagination, the green spaces and the allotment reminding us of all to slow down and breathe. And of course, let's talk about the charity, the comedy charity that I did. Oh my Lord, please don't watch it at the YouTube. But I did do it for the hospital charity, completely out of my comfort zone. If you think I'm funny now, you should watch it, please don't. And somehow, I ended up walking on the stage with a bathrobe, a face mask, and a lollipop. Honestly, it was the ridiculous, but in public office, I would have failed every single job description, as Barbara has mentioned. Apparently now, I have a future doing weddings and birthdays. And finally, one of the most important things that I ever did was my DJ. I also do birthdays and weddings on that one. Ridiculously, Alex Deadman said, "Do you do a bit of DJ?" I said, "Hell yes." I didn't tell him when I was 18. Then he said, "I've got a set with you. AJ DJ's coming. Obviously, we had Ed Sheeran, but we want you to come in." It was Ramadan, and I was fasting. And I thought, what can I do? Do I go against my faith, or do I go in music, as you know? But I realized that I am a Lord Mayor. I serve everybody. So I had my fasting, went upstairs, broke my fast, prayed, came downstairs, and I gave it my whole for the first 10 minutes. And guess what? We hit 800,000 views. And that is all for Sheffield and to bring those smiles. And finally, me and my son, we went to snooker, a game that we don't know nothing about. So we asked the security man, who's winning? When do they win? What colours needs to go to what pot? And why has everybody got a stick? But it was the most important place. We became addicted very, very quickly. One of the moments of the truly sealed the deal for me was attending the World Champion with my son. What an experience. Absolutely brilliant. Atmosphere, concentration, the excitement. It was amazing. To my colleagues here in the chambers, thank you so much. Thank you for being my family. Thank you for the support, your patience. I know I'm a bit strong, a bit vocal, but thank you for the debates, your kindness, and yes, occasionally, your tolerance. I hope through all this banter, the busy moments were remembered one thing: the public services matters. And to the people of Sheffield who messaged me throughout this year, especially the mothers that told me, my daughter can finally see herself in leadership, thank you. You will never truly understand that those messages, how much they meant to me. As Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And for Sheffield, you made me feel loved. And finally, I wanted to speak about my charity. But before I finish, I need to say one thing. I am deeply disappointed in my siblings and my children for refusing to stand up properly every time I entered the room in the house. My best friend invited me to her daughter's wedding. And as I pulled up to the wedding, I rang her and she said, I'm at the door waiting for you. And I said, can you make an announcement and make sure that nobody stands up? I'm just coming to Sophia. She didn't get it, but I got it. That's the idea. We will absolutely be dealing with those kids of mine, but privately in the house. And finally, I wanted to tell you about my 40 years of friendship to my chaplain, my annoying chaplain. I absolutely love him. He is my rock. A special shout out to you and thank you. I thought to myself, what can I do to that I'm lifted up, and how can I bring my second family with me up there? 40 years is not easy to grow up together, side by side, next door to each other. And if anyone knows, if anyone knows my personality, if I stand up, I will help the next person to stand up. And if I open the door, I will make sure that it's permanently open for the rest of the people to come in. A special shout out for my children and my young people. They are my second children, and one of them is sat up there. To all the Reach Up youth, to all our incredible young people and every organisation, Burn Grief across Sheffield, doing the hard work quietly every single day. One thing I've learned about this city is the volunteering. They are the true glue to the city. And a very special thank you to my favourite charity, Ezra, the Somali Community Association, a charity that has been a part of my life since I was 13. Thank you for all the trustees, Adam Youssef, the chair of the trustees, the volunteers, the staff, every single person connected to Israel. Together we built opportunities, together we created spaces, and where we felt heard and valued. Thank you so much, and thank you for trusting me for representing you. Thank you to Voluntary Action Services. We will work together about the Sheffield stories. Stories are never ending, and that's what we want. As I leave this role, I do not leave empty-handed. I take every relationship, every lesson, every connection, every resource, every conversation, and every ounce of love right back into the community where I belong. Because this was never a title, it was never about me. It was about the people. Thank you to Sheffield. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for building me. And thank you for allowing me to honour and be your Lord Mayor. And special shout out for Ibrahim, who's been following me for 6 years. Somebody calls the police, please. But other than that, thank you for Sheffield, and thank you. And please continue to continue to push the diversity, continue to push the representative, and please, my last advice is don't believe what you see. Always ask questions. Thank you, everyone.
It's now my honour to present the former consort's badge to the retiring consort.
Thank you. So many boxes. Hello. I think I have a pretty loud voice anyway, so don't worry about it. So obviously I won't do as good of a speech as my mum there, but I'll try and make it nice and sweet. They say every journey begins with a single step. Mine began with a single phone call from my mum telling me I was going to be the Lord Mayor's consort for the year, and sort of like grabbing a train you weren't quite ready for. I grabbed my coat, I ran down to the platform, and I threw myself through the doors before they closed. And honestly, I had no idea where this train was going. Now, when I took on the first role, I had a very specific image in my head of what it would look like. Smart events, ribbon cutting, standing next to my mum, trying to look important. I thought, how hard could it be? But Sheffield had other plans. Because one thing that no one tells you about this role is the sheer scale of it. The early mornings, the late evenings, the events where you're expected to speak to dignitaries while you're Googling what dignitary means. And yet, quietly, somehow it became the most meaningful year of my life. Because all of it, I met Sheffield, the real Sheffield. I met young people, artists, care workers, charity founders, and people who have quietly been holding the city together for decades with no fanfare, no funding, and not enough biscuits. You start to realize somewhere along the way that Sheffield isn't a city that shouts about itself. It just gets on with it quietly, stubbornly, and brilliantly. And somewhere in the middle of those carriages, through the rooms and the conversations, all the handshakes, something shifted in me. I stopped rushing through it. I started listening, not nodding politely, but actually listening. And this is the kind of listening where you walk away from a conversation and it sits with you for a couple of days. I became more patient, more curious, more grateful for the small things, the quiet things, and things that I would have completely missed if I stayed in my comfort zone. This year pulled me out of myself in the best possible way, and I couldn't talk about this year without the person who put me on the platform in the first place, which is my mum. So to my mum, watching you carry this role is something I'll never forget. You know, you walked into this room with warmth, dignity, and you showed genuine care for every person in the room. And you made this city feel seen. And you made me incredibly proud, just not as your son, but someone who got in the front row seat to see what real leadership looks like. So thank you for letting me stand beside you. This year was yours. I was lucky to just be on the same train. To whoever steps in this role next, I'll keep it brief because my mum always tells me that the best advice travels light. So I'd say talk to everyone, especially those who you're not sure anyone would want to hear from them. Say yes when it scares you slightly, and for the love of Sheffield, wear comfortable shoes. They say every journey begins with a single step, but I boarded this year not knowing who I was, and I stepped off a little quieter and wiser, and grateful that I wasn't seeing it coming. So as the doors are closing and the journey is done, Sheffield, you are an unforgettable ride, and I wouldn't have changed a single stop. I also want to thank the civic team, Steve for having my back, Julie with her patience, for my flood of questions, Helen for guiding me through engagements, and Son looking after me and my family throughout the year. So thank you, Sheffield.
Thank you. I'd now like to call upon Councillor Marianne Elliott, who will formally move that Councillor Peter Gilbert be appointed Deputy Lord Mayor of the City of Sheffield for the municipal year 2026-2027. Thank you. Can I call upon our good friend, Councillor Sophia Syed, who will formally second the motion?
I formally second the motion. Thank you.
Can I call on members of the City Council to show by show of hands all those in favour of Councillor Peter Gilbert being appointed Deputy Lord Mayor? And any against or abstentions? No, that's great. I declare Councillor Peter Gilbert duly appointed as Deputy Lord Mayor.
I, Peter Richard Gilbert, having been appointed to the office of Deputy Lord Mayor of the City of Sheffield, hereby declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. I undertake to observe the code as to conduct that is expected of members of the Sheffield City Council. Thank you.
Right, well, lunch awaits, and for some of you, I not only will see you at lunchtime, and then see we've got the council AGM this afternoon, and I see some of the others of you at the civic celebration on Saturday the 23rd of May. Thank you all very much.
Please be upstanding. The Lord Mayor and the Lady Mayors.
May I welcome members and the viewing public to this reconvened annual meeting of the Council. Please can I ask the Monitoring Officer, David Hollis, to announce the housekeeping arrangements.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Please can I request members of the public familiarise themselves with the fire safety and evacuation notices that are displayed in the public gallery. In the event of the fire alarm sounding, please take instruction from the security attendants who will be in attendance throughout the meeting. Please can I also request everyone to switch electronic devices to silent mode so as not to disturb the conduct of the meeting. This meeting will be webcast and the recording will be available for people to view later through the Council's website. Webcasting notices providing further information are displayed in the public gallery. Members of the public are permitted to take photographs and to film or audio record the meeting, but the Lord Mayor, as chair of the meeting, does have discretion to withdraw or suspend this permission if the recording is disrupting the conduct of the meeting, is being undertaken in a manner which could capture personal information. Finally, please may I request for safety reasons that no recording equipment, banner or any other object is held over the balcony from the public gallery. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Before commencing item 6 on the agenda, please can I ask whether there are any additional apologies for absence from members of the council which were not reported in the morning part of this meeting? Item number 6, introduction of newly elected councillors. New councillors elected in the recent municipal elections will now be formally introduced to the chamber. Please, can the first new councillor be introduced?
Every day that she speaks on the streets, everybody that she meets, they all have an original point of view. But I say, hey, this is the amazing, this is the wonderful, this is the beautiful new Green Council of Nether Edge and Shallow, Lindsay Angel!
Introducing the youngest councillor in the chamber, the first Green in Graves Park, the wonderful Tom Atkin Withers.
Good afternoon. I'm really delighted to welcome Councillor Andy Davis for Walkley Ward, who will be taking up the mantle of the wonderful Bernard Little. Andy.
It's my great pleasure to introduce the second Green Councillor for Ecclesall Wall, Tessa Lupton, a true local champion.
Lord Mayor, councillors, it's my fantastic pleasure to introduce Richard Tinsley. He's going to be an amazing asset to the council. He's done decades of community work for Sheffield already, so we're looking forward to working with him. Welcome Richard Tinsley from Hillsborough.
It is my constitutional duty to introduce Councillor Mick Lee, Independent Councillor for Shire Green and Brightside.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and congratulations on your new appointment. Citizens in the public gallery, councillors, it is my pleasure to introduce Lawrence Haywood Baton as a Reform UK candidate. I introduce Stuart Wallace, Councillor for Bayton. It is my pleasure to introduce Luke Goddard, Councillor for Burley. It is my pleasure to introduce Sean Maloney, Councillor for East Ecclesfield. It is my pleasure to introduce Robert Hanson, Councillor for Firth Park. It is my pleasure to introduce Joel McGuigan, Councillor for Mosborough. It is my pleasure to introduce Matt Smith, Councillor for Park and Orberthorne. It is my pleasure to introduce Yvonne Sykes, Councillor for Salwich. It is my pleasure to introduce Jack Byram, Councillor for Richmond. And it is finally my pleasure to introduce John Hesketh, Councillor for Stocksbridge and Upper Don. Thank you.
It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce Councillor Ruth Abbey, the new Green Councillor for Manor Castle.
Okay, thank you for that. At this point in the proceedings, I wish to hold a minute's silence in memory of former Councillor and Lord Mayor Sylvia Dunkley, who passed away on the 5th of May after a short illness. Sylvia served on the council from 1995 to 2012, representing the Ecclesall ward. She was Lord Mayor of Sheffield in 2011-12. I would like to take a moment to say a few words in tribute to Sylvia. My friend and colleague Sylvia Dunkley passed away recently after a short illness. This came as a shock to many of us as we saw her during the election campaign only a few weeks ago, and she seemed fine. I helped persuade Sylvia to stand for election, and I was her campaign manager back in 1995. And in recent months, I sought her advice over the Lord Mayor's role. Sylvia was a highly respected community champion in Ecclesall, known for her close work with Friends of Porter Valley, Friends of Millhouses Park, and many other groups across the ward. On this council, she was instrumental in opening up the council to wider participation, arguing to allow public petitions to be presented to council and committees, and the introduction of public questions. Sylvia was a keen local historian and worked with U3A for many years. Sylvia was very interested in planning policy and was on the Sheffield Conservation Advisory Group for a long time. She served for many years on the South Yorkshire Passenger Transport Authority. She was involved in the cultural life of the city, supporting music in the round. She was Cabinet Member for Culture, Sport and Tourism when the Liberal Democrats ran the council in 2010-11. She was director of the family business Atomising Systems, a fine example of a Sheffield-based advanced manufacturing company that sells worldwide. After a private family funeral, there'll be a civic memorial service at Sheffield Cathedral to celebrate Sylvia's life on 15th of June at 10:30 a.m, at which we're all welcome. Rest in peace, Sylvia. Please now join me in a minute's silence in memory of former councillor Sylvia Dunkley. Thank you, colleagues. We'll we'll have a sort of 30-second pause as just these papers are circulated with you before we head on with item 7. Okay, I would like to reconvene. There's one further item to come round, which is relating to item 16 in the calendar of meetings, but I think we should press on. So item number 7, exclusion of the press and public. There are no items of business on the agenda for the meeting where resolutions may be moved to exclude the press and public. Item number 8, declarations of interest. This item of business is to enable members of the council to declare an interest in any item on the agenda. Does any member wish to declare an interest? Okay. Item number 9, to appoint a leader of the council for the municipal year 2026-27. Are there any nominations for leader of the council?
Councillor Van Belbin.
Sorry. Okay, so Councillor Van Belbin. So is that nomination seconded? For me, Lord Mayor. Are there any further nominations? It has been moved and seconded that Councillor Fran Belbin be appointed Leader of the Council. We shall now vote on the motion. I will take silence as the affirmation of the meeting. If any member wishes to dissent, please raise your hand. I declare the motion is carried unanimously and Councillor Fran Belbin is appointed Leader of the Council to the date of the next annual meeting of the Council in 2027. Item number 10, to appoint a Deputy Leader of the Council for the municipal year 2026-27. Are there any nominations for Deputy Leader of the Council?
Councillors are here and as, Lord Mayor. Thank you.
Is that nomination seconded?
Formally seconded, Lord Mayor.
Are there any further nominations? It has been moved and seconded that Councillor Zahir Anas be appointed Deputy Leader of the Council. We shall now vote on the motion. I will take silence as the affirmation of the meeting. If any member wishes to dissent, please raise your hand.
Dissent.
A vote shall be conducted using the electronic voting system. May I remind members, and say this is going to be our first chance for 18 of you, so the vote is on the motion to appoint Councillor Zahir Nas as Deputy Leader of the Council. And so this is the first time for 18 of you. Please can I remind members of the Council that there's a time limit of 30 seconds for the conduct of each electronic vote. Please ensure that you have logged into your microphone console. Instructions on the voting procedure can be found on members' desks. If, for any reason, you are unable to log on or have difficulty registering a vote, please raise your arm before the vote is concluded to seek assistance from a member of the Democratic Services team. So, can I ask members that the vote be commenced now and that request that members complete the 2 steps for the voting process within 30 seconds. What's no vote? That's excellent. Yeah, it's going to be abstention, isn't it? Yes. Are we ready to go?
Yep. Looks like everyone's voted.
So, okay, so we've had 42 votes for, 2 against and 34 abstentions. So I declare that Councillor Zahira Naz is appointed Deputy Leader of the Council until the date of the next annual meeting of the Council in 2027. Thank you. Item number 11, announcements. This is for announcements from the Lord Mayor, Leader of the Council, or Chief Executive, and so I'd like to let Councillor Fran Belvin address the Council. Belvin.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you, colleagues, for this immense honour. I have lived in Sheffield for 40 years. My parents were born here. I spent lots of my childhood with my Nanan Beechif in a lovely leafy suburb, and with Nanan Darnell, who ran a chippy. My children, who are now young adults, were born here and have lived all their lives here. I've experienced this city as a child, as a student, as a volunteer, as someone surviving on benefits, as a care worker, as an employee in one of our universities and in the voluntary sector, and most recently as a local councillor for Firth Park. As a parent and with close family members, I've experienced the SEND system and how we treat people who are LGBTQ+, disabled, or who have suffered mental health trauma. And along the way, I have worked with people of all faiths and backgrounds, and like them, and like you, I love this city. And as leader of the council, I will work my hardest to make Sheffield a better home for all of us. Now, Sheffield Labour stood in these elections on a positive platform to deliver change for Sheffield, including free bus and tram fares for young people aged 18 and under, more affordable homes and better council housing, stronger rights for renters and improved local services. And we remain committed to delivering these and the other pledges we made in our plan for Sheffield. But we also heard the message coming from voters in this election that this is not enough. I had hundreds of conversations during the election period about the improvements that people want. They told me that regeneration is not just about the city centre. People want to step out of their front doors into neighbourhoods that they can feel proud of, that are clean and safe, where their children have great places to play and to learn. They want to access great employment and leisure opportunities, but also not to have their car tyres ripped to shreds by potholes on the way there. And crucially, they need enough money in their pockets, not just to cover the bills, which is hard enough for many of us, but to enjoy what the city has to offer. They want to see the renewal of the social contract, where citizens who are able to play their part get the support they need to contribute, and where there are consequences for those who make other people's lives more difficult. I hear that loud and clear, and this year we will prioritise tackling these issues. I will work with the new Chair of Finance to look again at what more we can do to tackle the cost of living crisis and how we can make sure that everyone knows what support is available when times are hard. And I will work with our new Chair of Environmental Services, who has stepped up after the Liberal Democrats walked away, to hold Amy to account on potholes and fly tipping and demand that we explore better ways to get our streets back to the standard that we expect and our residents expect. I was delighted to hear the local government minister, Steve Reid, was speaking this morning about the neighbourhood guarantee that will set minimum standards for public services such as these. We need a conversation about parking and the issues that come up week in and week out across the city. It's unacceptable when people can't park anywhere near their house after a long day at work, or when their grass verges are wrecked, or when their drives are blocked by people dropping off their kids at school, or they can't get their mobility scooter past the cars that are parked on the pavement. Government are giving us new powers, and by working in partnership with the communities who best understand their own neighbourhoods, we will bring residents, council services and contractors together to really get to grips with these issues, to innovate and to trial new solutions. There is also a desperate need to invest in our young people, particularly those who are at risk of being exploited or excluded and have more limited choices and chances when they leave education. I will work with the Chair of Education, Children and Families and the Chair of Economic Development and Skills and across committees, as well as with partners in government, schools, the police and voluntary sector to support young people into positive activities, education, employment and training. No child in Sheffield should be written off. This is a city where all should feel they belong. Moving on, I want to thank South Yorkshire Police and Democratic Services officers for their work to ensure that the elections ran smoothly and safely. They felt very different to those I have experienced in the last 5 years. We saw a high level of intimidation, threats, abuse, disinformation and lies. Candidates were spat at, verbally abused and followed to their home addresses. It was a small number of members of the public, encouraged by a few more online, but disgracefully also from some sitting councillors and from candidates and their campaign teams. Our democracy must not be threatened, and I will not hesitate to report such behaviours to the police or our monitoring officer, especially when they are particularly targeted at women and women of colour. I want to thank every councillor, regardless of party, who stood down or lost their seat at this election, some of whom had served for decades. It's a tougher job than many of those newly elected may yet realise. And I know that most councillors work very hard to represent the communities they serve. I'm particularly saddened that looking across the chamber today, we have lost so many great female councillors and are so much less diverse and representative than we were previously. And I'm therefore delighted that Councillor Zahira Naz has been elected as Deputy Leader of the Council. I believe the first Muslim councillor to take up this role. It would take too long to go through the contributions of every councillor who lost their seat, but I must particularly thank our previous leader, Councillor Tom Hunt, who did so much to shape Sheffield's direction over the last 3 years. Tom understood that while the council is not responsible for everything that happens in this city, the council leader can play a crucial role in bringing partners together to deliver real change, and he did this brilliantly. Thanks to his leadership skills, we're looking forward to thousands of new homes, including social and affordable housing, in places sorely in need of regeneration, such as Attercliffe, Cleadless Valley and Furness Hill, to the renovation of some of our most iconic heritage buildings and Concord and Springe leisure centres. Sheffield's cultural offer is firmly on the map, and the future of World Snooker in Sheffield is secured, including a £45 million investment into the Crucible. Tom played a large part in making Sheffield a city that partners want to invest in, and with that investment comes jobs, skills and opportunities for local people. He may have only served a single term as a councillor, but he leaves a legacy that will serve the city for decades to come. Along with the many business, faith, voluntary and community partners who have been in touch, I know colleagues across political parties will join me in paying tribute to him for all his work for the city. I congratulate the many new members who were elected in these elections and welcome them to the Chamber. I have seen that some of you are already getting stuck in to work for your local communities, and I hope you will keep up this hard graft all year round. In our committee system, every one of you will have the opportunity to be involved in decision making and to influence the Council's policies and service delivery in your own wards and across the city. We are a collaborative council, aiming to collaborate not just with our elected members, but with our citizens and our communities, our businesses, our voluntary sector, our health and educational institutions, and more widely with the mayoral authority and government. And let me say this to our new members from Reform UK. If you genuinely seek to work for the people you represent, for all the people of all your wards in all their diversity, to improve their neighbourhoods and their opportunities and their lives, come and talk to us. But you haven't got off to the best start, have you? 2 of your members are already sitting independently. And if you are here to sow division and hate, to label ordinary people as almost subhuman, or to insult the people of this country who fought the Nazis and then dismiss it as laddish banter, we will oppose you and what you stand for day in and day out. I saw very little from most of your candidates about your actual ideas for Sheffield during the election campaign, but I do not believe for a minute that the people of this city voted for division, hate, or the chaos we are already seeing in your group and in reform-led councils. To the Liberal Democrats, I am disappointed that you no longer want to lead change on the issues that you stood for election for, but I respect your decision to go into opposition. I know I speak also for Councillor Argentio and the Green Group when I say that should you reconsider, we are open to discussion. The progressive administration that will be put in place this afternoon may have leadership positions from just 2 parties, but I emphasise again that in our committee system, all councillors will have meaningful involvement in how we go forward as a city. With clear political leadership of different policy areas, I also believe that scrutiny of those decisions will be more transparent and take place in public rather than behind closed doors. And as I have always championed, we will also seek to better involve citizens and partners in our decisions and their implementation. Because we have started this journey and we have much work to do to continue it, to make people's lives better in Sheffield. And by working in partnership, by listening and involving our residents every step of the way, together we will get things done.
Thank you very much, Councillor Belbin. Item number 12, changes to the Council Constitution. This item of business is to approve changes to the Council's Constitution. The proposed changes relate to A, the operation of the full council meetings as recommended by the Governance Committee and the Monitoring Officer. B, the annual review of the financial procedure rules, financial regulations, as endorsed by the Finance and Performance Policy Committee. And C, various changes recommended by the Monitoring Officer, including in relation to charity trustee decisions, the constitutional roles of Policy Committee Deputy Chairs and Group Spokespersons, and the updating the Council's management structures. Details of all the proposed changes are set out in the report of the General Council, which was published with the agenda for this meeting. A few paper copies are available in the Council chamber. A supplementary report of the General Council and an updated Appendix 2, brackets, Part 3.3, Matters Delegated to Committees, close brackets, relating to the revision of the membership of the Health Scrutiny Subcommittee of the Adult Health and Social Care Policy Committee was published and notified to members of the Council this morning. A few paper copies are available in the Council chamber. A motion to approve the recommendations in the 2 reports has been circulated at the meeting. There is one proposed amendment to consider, which is included with the motion. The motion will be moved and seconded, and then the amendment will be moved and seconded. The matter will then be debated. There is a maximum time limit of 25 minutes for this item. May I call on Councillor Eldodd to move the motion?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm proposing this motion as the outgoing chair of the Governance Committee, as this report presents proposals to amend the Constitution related in part to the operation of the full council meetings that were made on recommendation of the Governance Committee and by the Monitoring Officer. The Governance Committee has worked for the past year in a cross-party fashion to review the function of full council, to think about how we involve members and residents better in our meetings, and to think about how we can best perform our functions through the committee system. We were supported in that work by the monitoring officer and his team, to whom I extend my thanks, but importantly to residents, including those who attend our council meetings, who fed in on numerous occasions to share with us how we could be performing these functions better, and to members of the council staff, particularly those who support our full council meetings and support us as councillors in responding to the questions that come from councillors and members of the public. So thank you to you all and to colleagues from across parties for your support and work to come forward with these amendments. As sitting councillors will know, we tested a few of them through the work of this full council over the last year, and so some of what we're proposing today makes formal changes that we've been refining through experimentation in practice over the last year. And I have to say I'm disappointed in that context to see that an amendment has come before us today from a party that voted for these proposals but weeks ago, and I hope that this is not a sign of what we will come to expect from the Lib Dems now in opposition.
May I call on Councillor Paul Turpin to second the motion?
Microphone. Thanks very much, Lord Mayor, and welcome to the Chair. Seconding this motion, I just want to echo some of the words that Elle said. It's been a year or more work really to get to this position, and live experimenting and learning by doing is a really positive and progressive way, and really shows how things have changed in this council over the last 5 or 6 years. And on that governance committee, which was absolutely dominated by Labour and Lib Dems, and with myself as the only Green, we've worked on these together, and albeit all of the members of that committee have contributed and steered these decisions, given that around half of the members of that committee were Lib Dems and have really worked towards these changes, it is pretty shocking that they're now trying to amend those things that they worked on. And in particular, the element of the changes to the Constitution that they are opposed to is the part where we say that equal work deserves equal pay, and where in the three-party administration with a chair, a deputy chair and a spokesperson on each committee, the work of the deputy chair and the spokesperson are basically identical, and the time commitment is identical, but the Lib Dems didn't want to acknowledge that, and maybe they're just secure in their wealth, or maybe they just don't believe in equal pay for equal work. Seconding this motion, Lord Mayor, please support it. Thank you.
May I call on Councillor Sue Alston to move the amendment? You may speak for up to 2 minutes.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Our group welcomes most of the proposals put forward in this motion. The changes are, for the most part, the ones we have agreed cross-party discussion in governance and in finance meetings. And I want to echo the thanks to all those who supported and contributed to those discussions. Our aim in Governance Committee was to make council meetings easier for the public to follow, more effective, improve opportunities for all councillors to ask questions and raise issues at full council and in policy committees. And that went alongside the changes we agreed to support public questions and petitions. However, our group does not agree with the proposal to allow for multiple deputy chairs on policy committees. This issue, as has been alluded to, stems from the three-party administration when there were 3 lead members for each committee, of whom 1 became chair, 1 deputy chair, and a number of people felt that the third of the trio was fulfilling a role that should be recognised. A role profile for that was submitted to the independent remuneration panel, but they felt that the awarding of an SRA for that was not appropriate. Lord Mayor, we should respect their views. The proposal to allow multiple deputy chairs in a 3 or more party administration feels unnecessary and inappropriate, and an additional cost to the taxpayer of 8 deputy chairs. This proposal will not actually come to any use during the current makeup of the council. So I ask Council to support our amendment, and then we can have a rethink. Thank you.
May I call on Councillor Joe Austin to second the amendment?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So here we are again. I must say to Councillor Turpin, when your party leader's excuse for not paying his council tax on his home in London was that he had a second home in London, I am inclined to think how the other half live. I couldn't afford one home in London, never mind two. So here we are again. You seem to, every year at the AGM, we seem to talk about paying ourselves more money and trying to find ways around the recommendations of the Independent Remuneration Panel to do so. I agree. There's an issue, there's an anomaly with the spokesperson, as there was in the previous administration. I submitted my view to the panel to say that the spokesperson should be paid. But we have been consistent, on this side of the chamber anyway, that we accept the determinations of the Independent Review Panel. Remuneration Panel. We don't find ways around their recommendations to vote ourselves more money. If we had gone into the administration, and if this clause had been implemented, I'm saying we would agree to it if we had gone in, the bill for the people of Sheffield would be another £50,000 a year plus, right? Well, I'm not going to vote ourselves £50,000 more pounds a year that the panel didn't think we deserved. That's not how it works. That's not how we do things. I will say that yes, I mean this was discussed in a workshop at the Governance Committee. I don't recall it going to a vote of the Governance Committee. It was only discussed in workshops. That's not a basis to bring anything to this chamber. And frankly, I think possibly the Governance Committee is possibly close to running its course. Maybe we should think about winding it up. It will have had 5 years since the committee system came in to sort out all the wrinkles. It only came in with the committee system. If we abolish the Governance Committee, that's 2 SRAs we could save. We could actually be spending less money on ourselves rather than more. How about that?
We now move to the debate on the matter. Hey.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I will be begrudgingly voting for this motion and against the amendment. However, I would like to make a couple of points very clear. For years and years, this council has never had an issue with councillors asking as many supplementary questions as they want. However, as soon as a brown councillor, Muslim, from Nether Edge and Sharrow, asks another brown councillor who lives in Nether Edge and Sharrow, we want to limit the amount of supplementary questions. Now, I find that very discriminatory, and I raised this a number of times last year with the previous Lord Mayor, and I appreciate the Lord Mayor has the final say. However, I'd like to make that point very clear again. I do think limiting the number of supplementary questions is completely undemocratic and goes against the ethos of Sheffield as a city in being allowed to scrutinise and ask questions of the full council. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Are there any other contributions? If not, may I offer the right to reply to the move of the motion, Councillor Dodd. You may speak for up to 2 minutes. Councillor Dodd.
I think the points have been made. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
I'm now going to move to the vote on the amendment. Is the amendment agreed? I will take silence as the affirmation of the meeting. If any member wishes to say dissent or raise your hand. So I've heard dissent. A vote shall be conducted using the electronic voting system. Are you ready? May I remind members that the vote is on the amendment moved by Councillor Sue Alston. Can I ask that the vote be commenced now and request that members complete the 2 steps of the voting process within 30 seconds? So this is the vote on the amendment in the name of Alston and Alton. People are voting pretty quickly.
So 7 off 84 gives 77, so that's the number I was looking for. Surprised to see 78. Going here, we'll have to investigate that, but we're looking at 77.
We're still too short. Where is the problem?
Well,
Do you have
I think it's a case of just asking members to double check whether they voted before we close it.
Has everybody voted? Can we close the vote? So that's 25 for, 44 against, 5 abstentions. The amendment is lost. I'm now going to move to the vote on the substantive motion. Is the substantive motion agreed? I will take silence as the affirmation of the meeting. If I hear dissent or raise a hand. If not, the substantive motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Next item of business. Item 13. Item number 13, establishment of council committees for the municipal year 2026-27 and appointment of members to serve on those committees. This item of business is to establish council committees and approve the appointment of members to serve on those committees for the municipal year 26-27. A report of the General Council outlining the legal requirements to allocate seats on council committees to political groups on a politically proportionate basis was published with the agenda for this meeting. A few paper copies of the report are available in the council chamber. A motion to establish and appoint members to council committees in 26-27 has been circulated at the meeting. There are no proposed amendments. May I call on Councillor Laura McLean to move the motion?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
May I call on Councillor Paul Turpin to second the motion? Councillor Turpin?
Lord Mayor, can I amend one name on one of the committees, please?
Go ahead.
There's some confusion. On the admissions committee, we have Peter Gilbert as our named member, and it should be Marianne Elliott.
That's noted, and we'll take action on that. Thank you, Councillor Turpin.
Formally second. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Does any other member wish to speak? Councillor Smith?
On here we have a vacancy for reform for the Audit and Standards Committee. We'd like to appoint Councillor Jack Byram. That's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. We'll take action on that. Anybody else? Councillor Minesh?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Can I check if the reform allocations taken into account their 2 suspended or resigned members?
David, are you able to?
Lord Mayor, I can confirm that they do. They're based upon the current allocation of the groups.
Okay. Where are we? I'm now going to move to the vote on the motion. Is the motion agreed with those 2 changes? With those 2 additions? Yeah, that's all. Oh, sorry. I'm being told that I've got a challenge in terms of what the Greens have said versus what Democratic Services think. So, is it to do with the chair of the admissions?
Yes.
So,
having Councillor Marianne Elliott as the chair rather than myself.
So I think the amendment. So the amendment is that Councillor Marianne Elliott is the chair of admissions. Okay. Yeah. Can we? So with that amendment and Councillor Smith's addition, can we agree the motion? I will take silence as the affirmation of the meeting. Any member wishes to dissent, say so or raise your hand. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Item number 14, appointment of chairs and deputy chairs of certain council committees for the municipal year 2026-27. A motion to appoint the chair, deputy chair and group spokespersons for each policy committee and the chair and deputy chair of the regulatory committees and other council committees in 2026-27, with nominations set out in the schedule accompanying the motion, has been circulated at the meeting. The chairs and deputy chairs of the council's local area committees will be appointed at the first meetings of those committees, which will follow at the conclusion of this annual meeting of the council. There are no proposed amendments. May I call on Councillor Laura McLean to move the motion? Councillor McLean?
Formally moved, Lord Mayor.
May I call on Councillor Paul Turpin to second the motion? Councillor Turpin?
Sorry, second.
Thank you very much. Okay, does any member wish to speak? Councillor Alton.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. In the blank slot under Audit and Standards Chair, we'd like to nominate Councillor Tim Huggan. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? Not? Oh, sorry. That's what that was. All right. Okay. Sorry. For clarity, the chair of the admissions committee will be Councillor Marion Elliott. So just so that you all caught that change in the last item carries on for this item. So just for clarity, if that's okay. We're going to move to a vote on the motion. Is the motion agreed? I will take silence as the affirmation of the meeting. Thank you very much, colleagues. We're doing very well. Item number 15, appointments to council panels, working groups, etc. and to external bodies for the municipal year 2026-27. A motion to establish and appoint members to council panels, working groups, etc. and to appoint members to external bodies in 2026-27 with nominations set out in the schedule accompanying the motion has been circulated at the meeting. There are no proposed amendments. May I call on Councillor Laura McLean to move the motion? Councillor McLean?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
May I call on Councillor Paul Turpin to second the motion? Councillor Turpin.
On the South Yorkshire Pensions Authority, we've been asked to nominate someone to have Section 41 responsibilities. So we'd like to do that now, if that's okay.
I mean, I'll take advice from the General Council, but my understanding is that that's a separate body and they will be, we elect the Section 41 bodies at the annual meeting of the South Yorkshire Pension. That would be my view, but I will take David Hollis's advice if that's not correct.
That's my understanding as well, Lord Mayor. That's the Pension Authority that decides that.
We'll come back to that in another place in a few weeks.
So I will formally second that motion, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Turpin. Does any other member wish to speak? Sorry, Councillor Rooney. Sorry, I did not speak clearly. Councillor Elliott moved that we could propose the Section 41 member for the South Yorkshire Pension Authority to represent Sheffield City Council, and I asked for David Hollis's, as General Council's, agreement that my ruling was correct, that is a decision for the AGM of the South Yorkshire Pension Authority and not a decision for today. And then as I am a member of that said body, I will look forward to the vote taking place at the AGM of South Yorkshire Pension Authority. But thank you, Councillor Rooney, for that point of clarification. Right. We were looking for other members wishing to speak. Councillor Matt Smith.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I put forward a member of our group to be on the South Yorkshire Community Parenting Board yesterday, and I can see in here there's no members from any party. Could I just ask if that's correct? Thank you.
Lord Mayor, we're seeking clarification on the requirements for that corporate parenting board, so that will come back. Either can be completed by, under my delegation, which is included in the motion, or at the first ordinary meeting of the year.
Okay, so it will be completed as soon as possible, but it's a really good point, Councillor Smith. Okay, where were we? We were looking at other members' contributions. If not, I'm going to move to the vote on the motion. Is the motion agreed? I will take silence as the affirmation of the meeting. Thank you very much. Item number 16, dates of council and committee meetings in the municipal year 2026-27. A proposed schedule of council and committee meetings for 2026-27, together with a motion to approve the schedule of meetings, has been circulated at the meeting. There are no proposed amendments. May I call on Councillor Laura McLean to move the motion? Councillor McLean.
Formally moved, Lord Mayor.
May I call on Councillor Paul Turpin to second the motion? Councillor Turpin.
Formally second.
Does any member wish to speak? I'm now going to, I can't see anybody, get my glasses fixed. I'm now going to move to the vote on the motion. Is the motion agreed? I will take silence as the affirmation of the meeting. It's carried unanimously. Thank you very much indeed. Item number 17. Notices of motion at council meetings in the municipal year 2026-27. A motion to agree the order in which notices of motion will be listed on the council summons for ordinary meetings of the council in 2026-27 has been circulated at the meeting. There are no proposed amendments. May I call on Councillor Laura McLean to move the motion? Councillor McLean.
Formally moved, Lord Mayor.
May I call on Councillor Paul Turpin to second the motion? Councillor Turpin.
Formally second.
Does any member wish to speak? No. I'm now going to move to the vote of the motion. Is the motion agreed? I'll take silence as the affirmation of the meeting. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much indeed. Item number 18. Vote of thanks to former councillors. This item of business is to pass a resolution of thanks for the service provided to the council by former councillors who had not sought re-election or who had not been re-elected at the municipal elections held on 7th of May 2026. And also to thank former councillors Nikki Belfield and Anne Wilhouse for their service to the council following their resignations on 16th and 18th of March respectively. May I propose that the thanks for this council be given to former councillors Steve Ayres, Nigat Basharat, Nikki Belfield, Curtis Crossthorne, Mike Drabble, Jane Dunn, Terry Fox, Craig Gamble-Pugh, Tom Hunt, Mark Jones, Willis Marshall, Karen McGowan, Shafak Mohammed, Nabila Malana, Henry Nottage, Martin Phipps, Janet Riddler, Gail Smith, Gary Weverill and Anne Woolhouse. Can I thank them for their hard work and service to the City of Sheffield? Is that agreed? Thank you. Together with the Chief Executive, I propose to write, as Lord Mayor, to each of these former councillors to thank them for their service. If any member of the council wishes to provide their own written message of thanks for the work of one or more of these former councillors, then please supply these to the Lord Mayor's office. Those messages will then be conveyed to the respective former councillors along with our own letter of thanks. This concludes the business of the annual meeting of the council. The first meetings of the Council's local area committees and of the Adult Health and Social Care Policy Committee will follow. This will be where the chairs and deputy chairs of the local area committees will be appointed, and where the Health Scrutiny Subcommittee will be established and its chair and deputy chair appointed. Thank you, colleagues. So, may I remind members, and clearly we've got 18 new colleagues with us today, that only the members of the committee concerned can speak and vote on the motion relating to that committee. And votes will be conducted by a show of hands, not by our electronic voting machines. So, meeting number 1 is the Central Local Area Committee. It is to be formally moved by Councillor Douglas Johnson and formally seconded by Councillor Christine Gilligan-Kubo, that Councillor Toby Mallinson be appointed Chair and Councillor Ruth Mercereau be appointed Deputy Chair of the Central Local Area Committee. Councillor Johnson?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Councillor Gilligan-Kubo?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Does any member of the committee wish to speak? All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. All those, thank you. All those against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Meeting number 2, East Local Area Committee. It is to be formally moved by Councillor El Dodd and formally seconded by Councillor Ben Miskell that Councillor Zahira Naz be appointed Chair and Councillor Mia Dryzak be appointed Deputy Chair of the East Local Area Committee. Councillor Dodd?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Councillor Miskell?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Does any member of the committee wish to speak? All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. All those against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Thank you. Meeting number 3, North Local Area Committee. It is to be formally moved by Councillor Penny Baker and formally seconded by Councillor Mike Levery that Councillor Alan Hooper be appointed Chair and Councillor Anne Whittaker be appointed Deputy Chair of the North Local Area Committee. Councillor Baker?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Councillor Levery?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Does any member of the committee wish to speak? All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Meeting number 4, North East Local Area Committee. It is to be formally moved by Councillor Fran Belbin and formally seconded by Councillor Mike Chaplin that Councillor Abdul Qayyam be appointed Chair and Councillor Talib Hussain be appointed Deputy Chair of the North East Local Area Committee. Councillor Belbin.
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Councillor Chaplin.
Formally seconded, Lord Mayor.
Does any member of the committee wish to speak? All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. All those against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Meeting number 5, South Local Area Committee. It is to be formally moved by Councillor Marianne Elliott and formally seconded by Councillor Alexi Diamond that Councillor Paul Turpin be appointed Chair and Councillor Tom Atkin-Withers be appointed Deputy Chair of the South Local Area Committee. Councillor Elliott?
Formally moved, thank you.
Councillor Diamond?
Formally seconded.
Does any member of the committee wish to speak? All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Meeting number 6, South East Local Area Committee. Sorry, just a pause as we get to the right page. I have been made aware that there may be 2 nominations for the position of Chair of the South East Local Area Committee. Therefore, we shall first deal with the appointment of the position of Chair of the Committee and then deal with the position to the position of Deputy Chair of the Committee. Please can a member of the committee make a nomination for Chair of the South East Local Area Committee?
Lord. Nominate Councillor Denise Fox, Lord Mayor.
Is that seconded? Councillor Horner?
Formally seconded.
Are there any further nominations? Begin.
Yes, I nominate Stuart Wallace to be chair of the South East LEC.
Thank you very much. And is that seconded?
I formally second it. Thank you.
There have been 2 nominations for appointment for the position of Chair of the South East Local Area Committee. So candidate 1, so it's on, we're using electronic voting? No, show of hands. Using show of hands, so candidate 1 is Councillor Denise Fox, and candidate 2 is Councillor Wallace. So, by a show of hands, so all those in favour of candidate 1, Councillor Denise Fox, please show. Okay, and put your hands down, and those in favour of candidate 2, Councillor Wallace. No, sorry. No, absolutely. There's 18 new members. The procedures are very confusing. Now, I fully accept that there's going to be a few teething issues. So we've had for count 7 for count. So, sorry, are there any abstentions? Right. I think because it was the first time we've done this. Voting just the members of, so it's just the members of South East Local Area Committee. So I'm going to carry out that vote again because I think on both votes there were some additional votes that sneaked in. So let's do that again. So just colleagues from South East Local Area Committee. So candidate votes for Councillor number 1, Councillor Denise Fox. Raise your hand. Okay. And candidate 2, Councillor Wallace, please raise your hand. I had six for candidate 1 and 4 for candidate 2. So I declare that Councillor Denise Fox is appointed as Chair of the South East Local Area Committee. We shall now deal with the appointment to the position of Deputy Chair of the Committee. Are there any nominations for Deputy Chair of the South East Local Area Committee? Councillor Rooney. Is that seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for the post of Deputy Chair of South East Local Area Committee? If not, I shall conduct a vote by show of hands. So the names before you is Councillor Ian Horner as Deputy Chair of South East Local Area Committee. All those in favour? Any? Thank you very much. Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, so that was carried. Councillor Horner is the Deputy Chair of South East Local Area Committee. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Council. Meeting number 7, South West Local Area Committee. It is to be formally moved by Councillor Joe Otten and formally seconded by Councillor Sue Alston that Councillor Rebecca Atkinson be appointed Chair and Councillor Barbara Masters be appointed Deputy Chair of the South West Local Area Committee. Councillor Otten.
Formally moved, Lord Mayor.
Councillor Alston.
Formally moved, Lord Mayor.
Does any member of the committee wish to speak? All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. Put them down now. All those against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Thank you. Meeting number 8, Adult Health and Social Care Policy Committee. May I remind members that only members, and as Councillor Hesketh has reminded me, that including new members, this is quite confusing, that only the members of the Adult Health and Social Care Policy Committee can speak and vote on the motion. It is to be formally moved by Councillor Mia Drazak and formally seconded by Councillor Malachi Habe that A, approval be given for the establishment of a standing health scrutiny subcommittee with 7 seats allocated according to political proportionality and in accordance with the composition reported to the annual meeting of the Council and with membership as set out in Schedule A, circulated at the meeting, and the Chair and Deputy Chair of the subcommittee and group spokespersons appointed in accordance with Schedule B, and to meet on times and dates in accordance with the schedule of Council and committee meetings for the municipal year 2026-27. Approval at the annual meeting of the Council, and B, the monitoring officer be authorised to appoint members to serve on the subcommittee in accordance with the details set out in paragraph E, published on the agenda for this meeting. Councillor Drazak.
Formally moved, Lord Mayor.
Councillor Habe.
Formally seconded, Lord Mayor.
Does any member of the committee wish to speak? Not. All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. Okay, we've got a few. All those against? Any abstentions? I'm going to declare the motion carried. Right, I think that concludes the business of today's meeting. Thank you all for your attendance. Thank you very much.
Well done, Lord Mayor.